Going from, this is another great link, going from one sexual predator to another. Because we're going to do our Season 2 Spoilercast.
Is he a sexual predator, though?
He's a fucking weirdo, mate.
He's a weirdo, but he's not.
He's a predator. He does everything he possibly can to get a girl.
But it's
that's a predator.
It's to do with, like, I feel it's to do with genuine love.
He fucking murders people to get a girl. That's his. Right.
But that's not.
Anyway,
that's not fun.
Before we jump into this, stop. Before we jump into this is a spoiler cast, like this section. So if you want to move on with the rest of the podcast and you haven't finished watching Season 2, make sure you go to the gaming section now. The gaming section will be when this finishes, and there'll be no more spoilers throughout the podcast after that.
Can you put a timestamp like on here? Or
well, the timestamp will be in the comments. It'll just be like.
Well, there you are.
When the gaming starts is when we stop talking about Season 2. So, Jax watched this very recently, within the last couple of days, a week or so. I watched it like 2.5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So my memory's a bit hazy. But I think when Jax starts talking about things, I'll be able to jump straight in. So what would you say was the...
How far do we want to go back with this? Do we want to go from the start and talk about it in total, or do we just want to...
I think the first point, I'll start us off. The first point I'll bring up is this. So he's met this girl called Love, which, by the way, Love's a stupid name, but I think I talked about that last podcast.
I was going to say, we've rinsed that towel.
But the bit... So for me, for the first episode, 2 episodes, I was very much like, you know what? I think Joe's trying to get his life back on track here. And I think he's changed his ways. Until we had... So I thought it was all going to be about Candice trying to come back and ruin his life. And I thought, you know what, that's a nice change of pace. Yeah. She's going to be the villain here. She's going to be the psycho.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time until she turns up.
Yeah.
And that was what I was thinking.
Yeah.
However, you then find out he's got a bloke in a box in a storage unit. And that was the moment that I went, oh, here we go.
And
that was the first
went
twist.
Back
I was
over
like,
the fact that he tried killing Candice. So you're then like...
Yeah.
No, he's still bad.
Yes. So like obviously you think, oh yeah, that comes after, doesn't it? So you got the man in the box, and he has essentially stolen his identity. Now I thought that was quite clever in the fact that it completely blew my mind.
Yeah.
I was like, shit, no, he didn't just make up a name and go and get a house. He has fucking thought this through. He's researched this bloke. He's captured him in a box and then taken that man's identity and gone and lived in this building. Now.
Bit unnecessary.
It was a little bit unnecessary. I felt really sorry for the bloke, but he does go and get the girl in the end, to be fair to him, so credit to you. He moves off to like Bulgaria or something where he's met some woman online.
Yeah, when he spoke to him, he seemed fine. So.
He seemed pretty happy.
Sound.
And he didn't harm him in any way, he just kept him in a box. And he did bring him nice food. So Joe had become a little bit better in that sense.
This is so strange.
It is really strange. But
like,
then
we're saying how good he is.
Oh, I know, but that's what this series does.
It's such a mind screw.
Season 1, you're rooting for Joe.
Yeah.
He's murdered 3 people at this point. You're still there like, I want him and Beck to be together. And that makes you question your own morals, if anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we're going to talk about after that point, you then find out that he actually tried to kill Candice.
Yeah.
Which is why she left in the first place. Yeah. Which then makes you go, fuck. I started really disliking Joe at this point. I was like, nah, he's not good. He's not
But
good
then
much.
You're like, right, okay, so this Australian bloke's come in, and you're just like, well no, because I still want Joe to be with Love. And it's
Love and Joe... Why do Love and Joe... Right, so Love... Because Candice comes back, and she gets with... What's his name? 40. She gets with 40, which is Love's brother. And then, after all of that's kind of happened, it all comes out that Joe isn't really who he said he was. Because his name was...
Will
Blenheim. So, he's been calling himself Will this whole time.
Candice then goes to Love.
And tells her. And then Love breaks up with him because you're not really who said you were. You're Joe, you're not Will. And then you've got Candice, who's kind of like, well, I've used 40 now. I don't really need to be with him. I still need to get to Joe and like stop him doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
In the middle there, somewhere, something weird happens. Because like the Aussie bloke comes in.
Yeah.
What happens to him in the end?
I think they had a scrap in the shop.
Yeah.
And then I think he hit Joe. And then I think basically he was just like, fuck this, I'm out, sort of thing.
And he just left.
Yeah.
So
There wasn't really much to it.
Because one of the things that sticks in my mind from the whole series is you've got the celebrity guy, Henderson, who is causing problems for this woman.
Neighbour.
Is it for the neighbour? Yeah. Which is really weird because they don't really seem to have that massive connection with Joe. And then he suddenly decides he's going to go and sort out Henderson. It's like he can't keep himself out of other people's business.
Yeah, that's his whole sort of demeanour, isn't it? He has to protect people.
So then he ends up going...
Which is the impression you get from all the flashbacks with his mum and all that sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I need to protect the people around me because they can't look after themselves.
Yeah.
Is essentially what his sort of understanding of the world is. And what he then goes and does is he goes and he kills Henderson. Yeah. Now this, for me, sticks in my head. Because he fucking grinds the man up. Is Henderson the one he puts in the grinder?
All I remember is that he's... Because I watched the first 7 episodes, then left it for about 3 weeks, and then watched the last 3.
As you do.
So I remember the last 3,
yeah.
But
I'm pretty sure Henderson's the guy that he puts in the grinder. You see him grinding out his bones and stuff.
I can't remember that.
It's the sausage grinder. It's the meat grinder.
Don't remember.
Anyway.
I can't help you.
So, Henderson gets killed, which then Candice realises it was Joe, and is like, you're killing again. I know what you're up to. I'm going to fucking ruin you. And then, it all comes out that 40, once upon a time, killed someone, and it was covered up by the family. Now... That then...
He opens up to Joe, doesn't he?
He opens up massively to Joe.
Mates.
They're now best mates. And it's very much like, I want you to get back with my sister.
Yeah.
But first you got to help me write this play.
Yeah.
Which is like fucking mental. Like, do not understand it whatsoever.
But whilst that's happening...
Yeah.
He's got that girl locked up in his cage then, hasn't he? Because
so he
follows him there, right?
Yeah, so he slept with her.
Yeah.
And then she got really suspicious over him. So followed him to the unit.
And then he had no choice.
He locked her in there. And then...
Because obviously that makes... Basically, they're in the hotel, aren't they? Right in this play. Well, they've done a couple of things. He gets kidnapped. He thinks that he's
and it's actually to write the play.
It's just to
but
write
he's
the play.
He's got his neighbour locked up, who he's also slept with.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do. You sleep with someone, then you lock them in a glass box. I don't know if you've not done that before, but it gets a good kick. So then,
I mean, I've not tried it yet.
Experiment with your love life, Jack. You never know.
You have to be open-minded these days. You
don't know where my girlfriend is right now. So don't go near the shed.
We've already talked about sexual predators enough for one night. Let's not.
So you've then got the scenario where you've got her in the cage and you've got him trying to basically persuade Love to be back together with him.
Yeah.
Whilst he's writing with 40, they take drugs.
Well, no, he gets spiked.
He gets spiked by 40. He
gives him like 4 times the amount of
nut job.
acid or something.
And then within that time that he's drugged up, he goes to... He thinks that he's gone and killed...
He's trying to investigate what happened.
No,
because he finds her dead.
Yeah, he thinks he killed her, but at the same time, whilst in that drug spiral, him and Love have kind of reconnected. Because they meet in the hotel, don't they?
Yeah.
And she's pissed. She's pissed.
Literally drunk.
Yeah, and they kind of get together.
Yeah.
Then like the last 2 episodes for me are fucking blur.
Everything just goes mental.
It is crazy.
40 like jumps out a window, so then he jumps after him, goes to find him, and then. So this is obviously based after he's been told of what happens whilst he was on a trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, he went to the shop to get whatever the drink was that they moon juice
why do I remember that but I couldn't remember 40's name
to sober up,
and
then he goes and sees Love at the hotel or whatever, but then they both No, that must have been.
But then Love follows him because Love thinks that he's going off to meet someone else.
Yeah.
He then goes into the storage unit, drunk out of his, drugged off his mind,
40,
and she follows him.
And 40 goes to see Candice.
Yeah.
So then Joe then thinks it's Candice that's stabbed her up.
Yeah.
But I think he then went to their house the next day, as in her parents' house.
Mm-hmm.
And basically it worked out that it wasn't Candice that done it.
It wasn't Candice. In fact, it was.
So then,
Love.
Yeah.
So it turns out all along. So going back a couple of steps, 40 opened up to Joe earlier in the season, saying that he was like a murderer and that he had murdered accidentally one of his babysitters.
Yeah.
And it then turns out it wasn't him all along.
No.
It was Love who had murdered the babysitter, used 40 as bait, and then it got covered up by the parents because 40 was really young and they kind of paid it off. So it turns out Love is a little bit of a psycho too.
Yeah.
And will do anything for anybody.
So then she's then killed. I don't know what I can't.
She's killed Love. Love has killed the babysitter and the reporter.
Yeah. So then Joe is like, right, because Candice finds him in there and locks him in.
Yeah.
Love then comes in, and Candice is like, you've got to lock him up, whatever. Love kind of reacts as if she's like horrified or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Candice leaves. She fucking stabs her with a bottle, and then
follows
she goes
Candice
inside, and then mate, it's just absolutely mental.
Lets Joe out.
Yeah.
And then they go back to the store, and isn't 40? 40's then is 40 then having a row with Joe?
No.
Have I remembered this right? Does 40 get killed?
40 is told by Candice.
Yeah.
That obviously all about Joe. So 40's messaging Love saying,
need to talk to you.
Come on, this is and all that. And then he's like, right, you both got to meet me at a warehouse. And then he pulls out a gun on Joe. And then he's basically, and then
policeman
you
comes
hear
in.
a gunshot, and then you've got the guy who was sleeping with a reporter.
Yeah.
Behind him. I think he killed him.
Yeah, so he did kill him. Meaning you've then got Love, Joe, Mum, who then move into a new neighbourhood to kind of start again.
Pregnant.
Yeah, Love's pregnant. Yeah, I forgot about that. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's a big one. So Love's pregnant with Joe's baby. Assuming that it's Joe's baby. Could also be a hunky Australian bloke's baby.
Doubt it, but yeah.
But then the main thing for me is the last scene in the whole thing. So
because you're given the impression that it's all over.
It's all over. It's all happy. He's got the girl he wants. He's in this nice mansion house in the middle of nowhere. Literally nothing at this point could go wrong. But it's all like they've all moved in, and Joe walks into the back garden, and it's all like nice music's playing.
I got a very 1960s impression from it.
Yeah, it was very much like
very much
happy ever after.
Garden, sun shines out.
Yeah.
That sort of
get the barbecue
weird,
on the pool.
Very weird.
People are in the pool, whatever.
Or it's 70s, 80s. I don't know.
But I really liked the ending and just the way it just turned. So you're watching him. He's walking down, and then he looks over the fence, and then it's a monologue, isn't it, in his head whilst he's walking down the path. I can't believe it. It's all worked out. Blah, 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 blah. And he goes, and then I saw you.
Yeah.
And it's that word. The word "you" doesn't get heard much within this series, but when you hear it, you're like, that's what he's talking about.
Whenever he says "you," it's always in the first one. It was always Beck, and then in this season, it was always you, Love.
Yeah.
So it was always about
you,
love,
referring to love all the
time. And then it was like you, and all you see is some woman reading a book,
and you just see her legs,
and you're just like,
that's not love. What? So for me, this means.
So what do you think it's going to be?
So this means two things. One, season 3 is on the way.
Yeah.
Because, it's just set you up for another thing. But for me, this is Joe. This is his mindset. He is never 100% satisfied. And he is a bit ADHD in the sense that he can't focus on one thing. And in his world, it's I can't focus on one girl. And whenever I see someone new, I'm just obsessed again. And I think that he's now got to the point where he's gotten away with so much that it's almost the norm for him to go, I like that woman.
Yeah, because he was very much like, I've changed, I've not done this. And then he then went and killed someone. It's just like, oh, right, okay.
But he's gotten away with so much now that I think he'll probably do it again. But I think there's going to be the complication, the fact that he might have a young one on the way in season 3. I think there'll be the complication that Love isn't going to die anytime soon because she was such a good character. And I think she'll still have a big part to play in the next season. What would you say that ending means?
The first season for me was Bex died. He's, the transition from 1 to 2 was
Candace.
He's moved somewhere.
But at the end of season,
it's very much. It wasn't about him getting the girl. It was
him getting away from the girl.
Him, kind of like.
Because at the end of season 1, Candace turns up. So that's the ending of that season.
So my feeling is how they'll probably change it again, as in the storyline. It's not going to be anything like season 2.
No,
I just don't understand how it would be like. What would work? What would be?
It'll be very much girl next door, I think, because I think he's going to be.
So is it going to be about how does he then get the girl while still having love and a child? But then is that a bit weird?
It could be the other way round. It could be that the girl is obsessed with him, and he's like, "No, I've got this." So the thought that came to my head when you were saying
that's
about
kind of what Love was like, because she had the, she's obviously always protected 40, and then she had the police investigate Joe and knew who he was, and yet still carried on, and
because she had to have him.
Yeah,
because her and him are very similar characters, which could then mean they work together. Which could be again complicated.
But then what would they then do?
Maybe they both want this woman. But the thought that came into my head was hang on with me with this.
Threesomes.
Threesomes. You, me, her. Was American Pie reunion. So you know how he's with his wife and they go to the family home, and it's the girl that he used to babysit is next door.
Right.
Have you watched the film?
Yeah, ages ago.
And she's turning 18 and she's obsessed with him. Yeah. And she wants to sleep with him.
Yeah.
And it could be like that, where he's trying to avoid it at all costs, but she happens to be the girl that's like, you. Or, it could be that Joe is still the main character.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be that, to be fair, because he's just so good at the character he plays.
And, especially, on the internet, he's... With the first season, I didn't see any memes, whereas now the second season's out. You see the
memes from season 1. You see memes from season 1.
But I didn't see any of it.
Yeah, but since season 2
came
now
out, I see it.
Yeah, it's quality.
Yeah. I think it's very much he's now the face of it. If there was ever a doubt, he most certainly now is the face of it. Yeah. So it's kind of you're not gonna move away from. They're gonna take advantage of that. It'll
still be him 100%. I think that Just to finish off this conversation, because season 3 will come out. Maybe closer to the time we can take a look.
It's probably going to be a year away at least.
At least, yeah. I mean, for me though, You has become one of my favourite series of all time. And I think
it's quality.
When I watched You, along with Sex Education as my other one, made me realise...
It's just obsessed with sex, basically.
Made me realise just how bloody good Netflix is.
Yeah, Netflix is quality.